Hey everybody, Black Tribers, welcome. We are on part 9 of our marriage series. Again, we're videoing for our Patreon people. So patreon.com/Gary and Lisa Black, you get an early release of our podcast on video, which I don't know if you really want to look at us, but it's kind of fun. We make out during our podcast sometimes.
No,
Just kidding.
And uncomfortable.
And then of course on Fridays they go public on iTunes and SoundCloud, and so that everybody can hear them. We do exclusive content on marriage for our $10 a month Patreon users, and so you can go on there and be $1 a month. You can go $5 a month, but if you want to do 10 or 100 or 10,000 a month, you get exclusive content on marriage.
And Gary will clean your house.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm kind of easy these days.
Okay.
All right, so part 9, and this is what?
Well, we just finished the last series. If everyone listened, what we talked about was what women want and what women need.
What they're looking for
in a man.
Yes, primal.
The primal aspects of it,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter if you're single or married. It's all the same. And so today, babe, you get to lead this because you're a man, and I'm sure that the men would appreciate hearing from you talking about men more than me.
Well,
I have
I'm not
studied
sure
this
about
more
that.
than you,
Yes.
because it's very important to me. But you are going to help explain what. I've got to fix you a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
You're going to help explain what men need from women.
Okay.
So let's start with our single friends out there.
Okay, lots of single friends.
Lots of single
Welcome.
friends, and their question is always, where are the women? And I think the women are like, what do these guys want from us?
Yes.
So can you say what is a young man looking for when he's looking for a covenant? Like he's looking for a future wife. He's looking for someone that's going to be the mother of his children that he's going to grow old with.
Yes.
What traits in a woman is going to draw him?
Yes, okay. So boys look for sex.
Okay.
They're thinking with their dicks, and they're not thinking with their hearts. Not just their minds. You think with your heart more than you do your mind when you become a man. I thought with the wrong part of me in my early 20s and got a girl pregnant out of wedlock. And we're big on, because of what that has cost us in our marriage, what it cost me in my first marriage, and my children still suffer because of it. I didn't know she was mentally unstable. I didn't know any of those things. She was just pregnant. So I did the right thing in my mind and married her. Not a good way to go. So premarital sex is not a good thing. When you're in a covenant with somebody, it's a whole other level of beauty in life. But as a young man learning how to become a man, when you're searching for a woman, the number one thing we look for, first of all, we got to be attracted to you.
Well, it's the first thing you're going to see.
Right. We've got to see you and go, whoa.
When a woman walks in the door, you don't see her master's degree.
Right.
You probably don't see her personality.
Right.
You don't see how she reacts
You don't
with
see her
children
purity,
or
you don't
animals.
see her impurity.
You're going to see if she's attractive or not. Talk about the attractiveness, though.
If all of a sudden you go, hello, how are you? Like in your heart kind of wakes up when you see somebody, that's a good sign.
Right.
Right, that's number one.
Right.
Then number two, what I'm always going to look for is stability. Is this woman, is she independent? Is she strong? Does she need me? Like, I don't need you to need me, right? If you need me, then I'm already out. With that, subconsciously, as a man, I need the hunt.
Okay.
So I need to see, like, oh, let's just take us. You were 29 when I met you. My interns had said, you've got to meet this woman. Our best friends at the time said, oh my gosh, Lisa Hunt, which, by the way, your name was Hunt, and I had the Hunt.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
And so I saw you, I stalked you, and I saw you, and I said, wow, right?
So wait, did you hear about me first, or did you see me first?
I heard about you.
Okay.
And then I went to hide out across the parking lot to see
when I left my job.
when you left your work.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I walked in and just introduced myself, and I could smell you and blah. And you were running inner city ministry. You were independent. You didn't need a man.
I was doing what I was created
You
to
were
do.
doing what you were created to do. That turned me on.
Okay.
So the stability that I saw in you, because you were okay without a man,
Okay.
that, again, I think it was more subconscious than conscious, made me come alive even more to pursue you.
Okay. Now, this has come up a lot recently because we've evolved as a species, of course, and women are in government, women are in politics, women are in all kinds of leadership. Thank God
Yes.
Needed to happen.
Jesus, yes.
I mean, we have got to have the women's voices in all these areas. However, there's a part of me that when a woman comes to me and says, I'm falling in love with this guy, I don't think he really notices me, I'm meeting him for coffee tonight and I'm going to tell him. And everything rises up in me and says, don't do it. And this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I believe no matter how we evolve, we have primal issues that are never going to go away.
We talked about that on the last podcast.
And men are hunters.
Yes.
And there is something in men that need to conquer.
Absolutely.
And they need something to chase after. Now, I make it a goal in our 20-year marriage that I still give you something to chase after. And still something, like, it's not stopped.
Makes you pray in tongues, people.
But, I didn't make it easy for you necessarily. I wasn't playing games with you, but I didn't, the second you noticed me, I didn't stop my life and just started following you around and hanging on your every word. I kept going on with my life, and I thought, well, if he really wants me, I guess he'll come after me. What do you think about young women that are not necessarily getting any signals from a young man, that are proclaiming they're making the first move as far as just saying, like, I like you?
Well, let's be honest. Let's piss a few people off here.
Uh-oh.
Young men, you're pussies. Let's just say it.
It's our podcast, so we can say it.
Honestly, it's just that you're not taught how to pursue. You're not taught how to be a man. And so you're not pursuing women. In fact, what we find is most men in their late 20s and 30s aren't even thinking marriage because they've not seen a successful marriage. Right. They're fearful of it. They're afraid of success more than they are the failure of it. And so they're like, I don't even want the responsibility. So they're not even thinking that way. So now women come to us all the time.
Right.
I can say this because, again, we're experts in this. We do this all day, every day. Women come to us and say, what do I do to even get them to be aware that I'm a woman, right? Yeah. And so I do think it's changed a little. Yeah. I do encourage women to say, look at a man and say, look, if you want to pursue my heart, I'd be open to that. Okay. And then stop and leave it at that.
Okay.
You don't want to be a needy woman. A man subconsciously will not pursue that. But if you say to them, look, my heart would be open if you want to step up and kind of step into some things and pursue this heart, because this heart is worth pursuing. So I do think that has changed. Okay. And I do think women need to do that. And because men are not being initiated and they are not being taught how to pursue these days. Not all men, not all of you. I know some of you do this, some of you conquer, some of you find that woman, you move that mountain to get her. And I love that and I'm proud of you. And I run into that not very often, but we do still see that.
Well, and our story is you pursued me in every way, but I actually kissed you first.
You did.
Because
you pushed me against the wall.
Stop. You don't have to get okay, because I made a decision. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. And I was waiting and I was getting to know you and I was listening and I was watching you. And then we were out one night and I went to the bathroom and had a conversation with God and I was like, okay. And so I walked out and I saw you and I was like, yeah, I'm going for it.
Yes.
But you had pursued me for quite a while and very intensely.
Absolutely.
But then I was the first one to kiss you.
Yes.
And I think you got the message
loud and clear
that I wanted you.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that was kind of it.
What was that hot when I did that?
It was so hot.
Okay.
It was beautiful. And then as a man, you go, okay, done. I don't need a long dating relationship here. I need to pursue this woman with my whole heart in purity and in grace. And I need to land this marriage thing so that we can start having some real covenant sex.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, so you said in our last podcast that sometimes we look for, men look for their mothers or whatever, or women look for their fathers. Could be a little creepy, could be a little dysfunctional, but I think what men are looking for in women that might remind them if they had good mothers is kindness and nurturing. Is that an attractive trait to a man?
Absolutely. What I saw in you were the values that my mom had.
Okay.
She was kind. She was pure. She, married as a virgin. She took care of herself always. She served her family in an amazing way. And I saw you doing that with your own daughters. You were this pure, godly, independent. God was first in your life, and there was no man that was going to interrupt that.
I did make that difficult.
It was really clear, which turned me on, which made me want to pursue you even more. And so yes, those qualities of my mother I saw in you, and that was good. I didn't want to marry you to become my mother so that you could do my laundry and do my dishes and cook my food, although I love when you do those things.
And I love it when you do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you
Okay.
do want to see those qualities. If you had a good mom,
Yeah.
that's what you want in a wife, but you don't want to marry your mother.
Okay. And I don't think any woman wants to take care of a man as if they are her child.
Right.
I
But that
think
happens
it
a
is
lot
the
these
most
days.
like if I were to come home after a long day of work and you were on the couch and the house was a mess and you're playing video games for hours. I'm not talking about one video game or whatever, but 6, 7, 8 hours of video games. My heart and my attraction to you would shrink
Of course.
instantly.
Absolutely.
And because I don't want to raise a teenage boy, I want a man.
Yes.
And so when I say nurturing, like yesterday, you had a migraine and you were just like, and I
This
was
is
like,
really unusual.
it
Right.
was very unusual. And I was like, this is what you need. And and then I tucked you in and got the fan going and got you, covered your eyes. And then I had a very emotional day yesterday with several of my meetings and I had a hard time this morning. My head was throbbing, my eyes were real puffy and you were like, oh, just relax. I'll get you a cup of tea. And I think that we nurture each other very well, but I am not your little girl
No.
and you are not my little boy.
No.
And there's a big difference.
Big difference.
Big
Yeah.
difference. Okay.
When you get into the ebbs and flows and you study one another's paces, and I know what you need
Yes.
when you've been over emotional and you've had too much stimulus.
Yeah.
And so a cup of tea and a quiet room.
I need quiet. Yeah.
For a while, and then because I don't get sick and I don't get hectic, but if I have something,
Yeah.
you know exactly what to do
Mhm.
to get me better, and you do it immediately, and we don't even question that. That's not coddling.
Right.
That's not weirdness. That's just serving one
Serving
another in
each other
marriage.
well.
Yeah, and there's a big difference.
Which takes a while to figure out.
Of course.
What he put. What
It takes
what each
years.
other
It's been
It's
20
okay.
years for us, and we're just figuring
But
it
there
out.
are. You know what? Communication could cut that
In half.
Like I said to you, because we had 30 hours of flights, and I don't really sleep on planes and all the stuff that goes with that. And we weren't eating the kind of food we normally eat. We had to eat out of vending machines because of COVID, and
Right.
so we weren't feeling real good. And you got a great deal on a hotel, but the beds were comfortable and clean. And I said to you the next morning, I said, "Did you know that when you get me a comfortable, clean hotel, I feel very loved?"
Yes.
And you've learned that your life goes better when I'm rested.
Absolutely.
Like you could have dragged me through and said, "No, we're
Yeah,
going to
which I
drive through
did
the
when
night."
we were
I know.
in our earlier days.
You
Yeah.
could have dragged me through and said, "We got to get this done. We got to go here. We got to do this person. And we're not going to spend that, $40 on that hotel or whatever." But then I would pay for that and you would pay for it.
Right.
And to stop and say, "Wait a minute, maybe I could push through. But my spouse needs a salad
Yes.
and a nap."
Right. And that's honestly, that's your rhythms. Your rhythm is a nice, clean place, because cleanliness is important to you.
Very important to me.
And a little extra money. I mean, it was literally like you said, it's $40.
Right.
And spending that to make sure that your rhythm is okay benefits me big time, because we're ready to have sex and we're ready to take on the world, to
Right.
do podcasts.
Right.
If not, then I have to wait a week for you to catch up.
Or you could spend $180 at the urgent care a week later when I
Right.
completely poop
Right.
out. And,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kindness and what about maturity?
Oof.
So if you're young, like how do you know that someone is growing in their maturity or has the potential to become even more mature? Like what would be a red flag for you as a man where like, wow, this woman is a little girl?
Yeah, if I'm acting like a little boy in a relationship, if I'm trying to learn how to become a man, I'm in my early 20s, mid 20s, maybe I'm 30, and nobody's initiated me. I didn't see it good from my parents. My dad was silent maybe, or my dad, a workaholic or whatever. It wasn't real healthy. All of our homes are dysfunctional. We don't hold those things against our parents. Most of them did the best they could. Some of them bailed. I get it. It's just reality. But we forgive them and we move on. But if I start to become a little boy and then that little girl all of a sudden turns into just mush and wants to be like serve me and do anything she can to keep me around, subconsciously, even consciously, that's a turnoff. If you're just trying to give yourself, and especially like sexually, if you're
Yeah.
trying to entice me sexually or with your body and we're not married, I know that we think men want that, and I know men think they want that, but quite honestly, after that's over, if you read scripture at all, when a man would rape a woman, he'd think he was in love, and then he would be done. In fact, hated Tamar. If you remember the story of Tamar, he hated her.
He hated her because he hated himself.
Right, hated himself. And so when you're strong and when you say, look, man, you need to grow up and pursue this. Like, I'm not going to wait for you. There's men out there that deserve this heart. And so you need to deal with this. And when you deal with it, come to me and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving on. That's a turn on to a man.
Yeah.
They don't know that
Yeah.
as a boy, but they actually go, oh my gosh, wait a minute. This woman may be worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Because she's strong. And she's not going to wait around for me.
Which makes you step up.
Which makes you
You're
step
either going
up
to stay
as a man.
stuck and find someone that's going to put up with your crap, or you're
Right.
going to step up.
And again, we've seen a lot of that. And we don't even want to do those marriages anymore where they just get married by default.
Right.
Because then we're dealing with all of their stuff
Yeah.
3 months,
So
6
much
months
work.
down the road, and it's so much worse. And so an independent, strong woman is the best woman in the world.
Okay.
Now, not a feminist. I mean,
A feminist in the way that there is a man-hating spirit.
yeah, when they have a man-hating
Yeah.
spirit, that's the biggest turnoff in the world.
Strong women are sexy. Women that hate men are not sexy.
Don't even want to be near them.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And girls, let me just tell you this. I see Twitter, I see Facebook, I see Instagram. And when you're always tweeting about how men are pathetic, and it really does come across that way, not interested at all.
Mm-hmm.
Men will never be interested in that.
Well, a real man.
Right. No, if you want a real man, look, you've gotta love men. And the feminist movement is a beautiful thing, right? We want this. Again, Lisa said it.
Needed to happen.
We need women in the pulpits. We need women teaching. Jesus always went to a woman first because he knew she'd get the job done. And so, no, that's not about that. But when you attach a spirit to it, I just did a truth talk on this about religion and about this whole movement going on with Black Lives Matters. It's righteous and it's beautiful and we need it. But when you attach a spirit of hatred to it, and that's all you can see and all you want to do is prove other people wrong and that you're right, very unattractive.
Yeah. And it doesn't get anywhere.
It doesn't get anywhere, and nobody's going to want to be a partner with
hate, and murder breeds murder,
Right.
and someone's got to step up and say
Yep.
enough is enough.
Where's the pulse?
Okay, so playfulness.
Ooh.
I believe in my feminine mind, with the studying that I have done, is that men of all ages want a partner that they have fun with and can be playful with.
Without question.
Okay.
In fact, Andrew Shearman always taught us, those that play together stay together. And I know us religious people have always said those that pray together stay together. And prayer in a marriage is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
You have your quiet time in the morning, I have mine.
We got
and
a
we
rhythm.
come together, we'll pray for our kids, we'll pray for what needs to
Right.
happen. If something's breaking loose and we're getting attacked,
We go right to
we
it.
come together, we do, but we play together so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, our Sundays are our Sundays.
Yeah.
And if we're in Spain, we're going to hit the beach and we're going to have a couple Coronas and we're just going to play together.
Yeah.
Right?
And we don't talk about work.
We don't talk
and
about
we don't talk about our
anything.
kids.
Right.
And it's a separate.
Yep.
We have business meetings because we work together.
Right.
And those, we don't bring our kids into our business
Yep.
meetings or our marriage into our business meeting. And we separated that really good, but it took us a long time to figure that out.
It did.
And so when you were looking for a wife, what was like, here's a quote I heard from a young man.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, that's so true. Because we have, 4 sons, 3 surviving sons, and 1 that is currently married and 2 that are currently dating. And I've noticed with my sons through all of their, from 12 to almost 30 now, whenever they tell me, Mom, there's this girl and I really like her, and they start telling me about her, and I always say, what is it about her that you like so much? Like, what makes her special? What, out of all those women, like, what highlighted her? The same thing they always say is, she's just cool. And I've noticed that most men will describe the woman that like they're gonna marry or they started dating, that
Yeah.
like, she's just cool.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, that's like, she can hang out with my buddies. She can hang out with my parents.
Exactly.
She can play with a kitten. She can, she'll go rock climbing with me. Like, she's just cool.
Right.
Like, I don't have to like walk on eggshells because of her emotions all
Right.
the time.
Or,
She's
or,
just
or
fun.
she needs her makeup to be perfect.
Yeah.
Or her hair to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, cool to a guy is her hair's a mess and she doesn't care and she loves it anyway.
Like the way I went to Walmart today.
Right. It's honestly, it's like, now I love women who are dressed right. They shave. We talked about this the last time. It's really important.
Yeah.
But when you and I are out in the we got a convertible and we're going up Highway 1 in California and we're a mess in the wind, or we're on the motorcycle.
The time that motorcycle, when we got to the hotel, it took you an hour to get the we couldn't go to dinner because I had so many knots in my hair. You had to like brush it out, and then we went to dinner, and then we made love, and it was awesome. Totally worth it to get my hair.
That's a cool woman, because you don't need to be perfect. You need to just have fun.
Like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
Getting caught in the rain.
Those are the best memories. Right. Like the spontaneous things that just happen when you're just having fun are the best. Like we were sitting out yesterday talking about like going back to Colorado in a couple months, and the first thing we both said was, "Oh my gosh, we can go to O'Malley's." Right. Which O'Malley's is this dive bar.
It's a dive bar
that has not been cleaned.
Colorado, shout out.
Has not been cleaned or updated in 40 years, but you get to grill your own steak.
Yes.
And you sit outside on these crappy furniture and have a beer, and it's just like awesome. And we were both like, "Let's go to O'Malley's."
Yeah, they're
like,
playing 80s rock.
And there's just motorcycles everywhere, and it's just like yes, and everything. Your hair is just like full of the smell of the steak. But yeah, it's the good. Those are the good times.
Well, and when you're playing, it's flirting.
Yeah.
There's a flirtation to it that men need and women need.
Oh yeah.
But like when we're on the motorcycle and we're a mess and we're freezing and then we get out, it's just like this flirty thing where we're gonna warm each other up and it's just fun.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that in a relationship, your relationship's gonna grow stale and it's gonna die.
I feel so sad for people that don't have
that. I know. If you're just going to your cubicle every week and all you're giving yourself is to work, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're just thinking about how much money you can make, this COVID thing, it really hit my spirit. It's like all these dudes I knew that were billionaires lost billions and millions. A lot of them did. And they literally, a couple of them looked at me, very successful businessmen, and said, "Man, if I had a simple life, it wouldn't have been so destructive on my family." And so simplicity, and again, nothing wrong. Make all the money you want and give it to us. I love it. But I love that. I think that's a kingdom thing.
Simplicity opens your life to do other things. I was running with the dog yesterday morning, and we're in this cute little neighborhood in kind of the old district of Gainesville, Georgia, where we work. And there's these houses from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and I'm just like, I was starting to think like, maybe I do want a house again.
Yeah.
Because we've been living in an apartment and just keeping life really simple for years. A little casa. And I was like, maybe I want a house again. And then as I kept walking, I realized it was garbage day and everybody had their recycling out and their trash out and everything out. And there was all these bags from Lowe's that were full of leaves and on the outside of it, they're full. It says, "What did you do this weekend?" And my stomach sunk and I thought, I don't want a house. Because I don't want to spend my weekend taking care of the yard. Yeah. I want to spend my weekend having fun. Yes. And I think the older you get and the more you figure out like what you really value and if your things are consuming your life and you're missing a relationship with your spouse because your whole life is about consumed taking care of or purchasing your things, that's not living. Yeah.
Now, again, like Mo and Andrew, they have their little garden.
They love walking outside.
They love
Then
they
garden. Bond over that.
Yes,
that's part of their marriage.
Beautiful.
But it's my worst nightmare.
Yes.
And so that's something that works for their marriage. I would rather have a tiny place that has a really great motorcycle in the garage. Right. And on the weekend, we're just in the mountains.
Right. We're gone.
So like conversations about that, even in dating, is important. Like, what do you need? 5,000 square feet? Do you need 80 acres? Like, what do you need? Right. I'll take 80 acres on a ranch if someone else takes care of it.
Sure.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So simplicity. Playfulness, very important. Figuring out simplicity, the nurturing, and the independence. And then I was thinking about how there's this ebb and flow to dating relationships and marriage relationships that people get stuck in, and they think it's the end. And so I guarantee you we've got young couples right now that are watching this and they've got little kids.
We're listening, yes.
And they are thinking, oh God, I didn't know life was going to be like this. Yeah. And I know we post on Facebook and Pinterest, when they have their tutus on, it's their birthday party and how cute they are. But most of that season is very physically intense. Yes. And that can take away from this. Because you're so focused on providing, I'm so focused on providing, we're so focused on our kids that how do people keep this strong in those seasons? What does a man need? You've got a wife that's home with 3 little kids all day. You guys have made an agreement, like it'd be best if you just stay home and do this because daycare is going to take all of our money. and I'm gonna go do this, and we'll have dinner or whatever, and you come home and she's got her sweats on and her hair, you know, the house is a mess and the kids are screaming. What's going through a man's mind in that?
Well, I mean, again, you as a man, you hate that for your wife because you know how hard that. Now you don't know until you actually have to do it. So you have to trade spaces a lot of times.
I think that's a really good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like on a Saturday, a man should have the kids and let his wife go be with her friends and get dressed up and
go to Target
and go to Target and go get her hair done. And if you can afford it, there's many years for us that we couldn't. But I made sure you could get out and be done and be with the kids. Absolutely have to do that. But guys, date night, and I know it's hard to find babysitters, and I know, but you've got to keep dating one another. The key for us was that no matter what, if we didn't have any money, if we had money with all 6 of those kids, on Friday night, we would set them up on a movie. We would make sure that there was some teenager, somebody that would come over, and we would just go in our room with a cheap bottle of wine and a little dish of something, and we dated one another.
Top is on the bed.
That top is on the bed, and we just made that priority. And again, we didn't do it perfectly, and it doesn't work every single time, and all of those things. But if you're consistent and you keep trying and you keep dating and you let your wife know, this is priority to me. This is more important than my work. This is more important than my ministry. This is more important than the kids. Guys, your kids grow up and they leave. This is what matters. Again, we've said it 1,000 times. The best thing you can do for your children is have a great marriage, period. And so that, to me, is the most important part.
And that's why we're still together.
Right.
And that's why we're going to be together till we die.
Yep.
But I had a young woman say to me, she said, I listened to one of your podcasts, and she said, I have to ask you a question. Are you saying that your sex life is more important than your children? And I said, hell yes.
Absolutely.
And she was like, I'm sorry, I can't wrap my mind around that. I have 3 small kids. I don't even know how to relate to what you're saying. I said, okay, perspective. If I don't keep that intimacy with my children's father, even while I have small children, if I am not making him my priority, our marriage is not going to be a thriving. We could stay together, but we're not going to be in love, and we're not going to have intimacy, and that is going to fall out on my children.
Absolutely.
They are going to grow up in a house with parents that are not connected, that are not affectionate, that don't like each other, that don't have anything in common anymore because they haven't fostered it. Well, and so however you have to foster it, it has got to be a priority, because loving your children well is loving their parent well.
As much as it is for a man to have sex, he can go masturbate and go do what he needs to do. As much as it is to have sex, it's more that he's being respected by his bride. And when you're choosing your children over him, what happens is he just goes silent and he just starts to reject. And then you can blame him and you can curse at him and you can say all the things you want. But the truth is what a man needs more than love or anything is respect. And when you're giving yourself to him in a sexy way, the best way that you can, and your body is not your own, and your
body is not your own,
and his body is not his own, and you're serving one another that way. And I know this is countercultural for some reason.
I know.
And you're letting children in your bedroom. Your bedroom is a sacred space, and you don't let children in your bedroom ever. They can run in and play on the bed, and you can throw them around, and all that's fun. But to sleep all night, one of them has a nightmare, come in, hold them, then put them back in their own bed after a bit.
Well, because you're teaching them that they're okay.
You're teaching them they're okay. This is not a codependent thing, and this is our room. This is not your room. I know this is hard for some of you, and you might shut the podcast off right now, but you got to get over yourself and listen to what I'm telling you.
But our next podcast is about seasons. And that's really important to remember, is that that there are seasons to life and to marriage. And so we are not saying that we know people that their children will be in a wheelchair the rest of their life.
Right.
And there's all businesses, and we've been through all of it.
Right.
And the way that your marriage gets destroyed, though, is when you think that season is the rest of your life, and you just submit to it and you don't even try anymore.
And you give up.
And so there are days where you just have to say, today is not a good day.
Hundreds of seasons in life,
Hundreds.
Guys. And they all end, and things are never as good as they seem, and they're never as bad as they seem. You have to remember that. And so you've still got to learn how to date in the midst of every single season, and love one another, and have sex. Make love to one another. It's important.
Okay. So how important is for you as a man that you and I do things together and don't do things together, that we have our own space? What does that look like for you. If I were to say to you, I really just want to go shopping by myself, or I want to meet a girlfriend for a glass of wine, do you feel rejected?
No.
Okay.
I love it.
Talk to me about
because
that.
I trust you.
Okay.
And I know who you are. If you were flimsy, if you were slutty, if you were flirty, and I experienced that in marriage.
sorry,
I mean, it
baby.
was a horrible thing. Then I would hate that because
Yeah.
all I would be sitting there thinking about is what's happening out there. And it did happen. Adultery did happen, and those things did happen. What you taught me was how safe you were and how devoted you are and how pure you are. It took me a while.
Yeah.
You had to help me with that. I was
you were
wounded.
nervous about
But
it.
once I learned that, I celebrate you going out by yourself, going to Target. I know that you love that.
Mm-hmm.
And don't make your husbands, we've said this again, don't make them go with them. Unless, you're going to do a little clothes shopping, that's fine, but don't make them go shopping. Please. Unless some of you feminine guys like to shop, that's fine. But I love that, and I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate you being with your friends because I know that's important. And I know that when you have healthy friends, you can talk about healthy things.
Yes.
And you're not talking about one another. And that's really necessary. And it's necessary that I have those things.
Okay.
And I need to get on I'd love to have a motorcycle again and just get on it and ride.
I would
because
love
that's
that for you.
therapy for me.
Absolutely.
Right? I need to go hang out with Seth and go sit on his porch.
Makes you a better man.
And have a beer
Yeah.
and just talk about guy things
Right.
and life and marriage. And so when you have healthy friendships, it's absolutely necessary to
Which
get away
in the
from one
beginning of our marriage, you did not have healthy
No,
friends.
no,
I
I
did
didn't.
not trust them. I didn't think they would back me up. I thought they would probably encourage you to cheat on me more than they would encourage you to be faithful to
Sure.
me. And so I was never excited about those.
Right.
But now that you have brothers, which I specifically prayed that you would get brothers. I didn't think you needed more drinking buddies. I was like, he needs some brothers. And now that you have those, you can go anywhere with them, do anything with them, and it's making you better, which makes our marriage better. It makes it
Absolutely.
all. But I know they want the best for our family. And
Right.
you know my friends want the best for
And
our
that's
family.
critical.
Yeah.
That's the critical relationships you have are the ones that
Mature versus
celebrate
childish.
when your marriage is good and get into the dirt with you when your marriage is bad. And your marriage will be bad and it will be good and then it will be bad and then it will be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the process. That's how it works.
Okay, so trust.
Okay?
If you get the impression from your woman or your girlfriend that she trusts you, what does that say to you?
Everything. It changes everything.
Okay.
Because men need respect, and when they feel like they're trusted and that their woman, they're the most important thing on the planet, trust them and can release them, it helps you step into manhood. It helps you become a better man.
Or you become even more trustworthy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because now there's something to live up to.
Yeah.
And what most young men don't realize is that they want responsibility. The
It's
next
what makes you a
generation
man.
wants responsibility. They
Absolutely.
don't know that they
Yep.
want responsibility, but when you give it to them, it makes them stand up and come
Mm-hmm.
alive. When your wife trusts you and says, "Man, babe, go," it just makes you step up even more
Right.
and be more trustworthy. So absolutely. That's
Well,
a
and I've
critical
got
part.
probably 8 young brides right now that all say to me, I don't want to have kids. I'm scared to death to have kids. I don't like taking care of other people's kids. And I'm saying, babe, this is so different than taking care of other people's kids.
Yes.
It would be like some guy, if someone randomly dropped off a guy for the weekend and said, okay, this is your husband, take care of him, have sex with him, cook him food, take care of blah, 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 that would be horrible.
Right.
That's what it's like to take care of other people's kids. If someone brought you to the door and said, you got the whole weekend with this guy, you can do whatever you want with him, be like, sweet.
Right.
It's totally different when it's your child, whether they're
It
your
is.
foster child, your
It's
adopted
true.
child, or your stepchild. It's totally different when they're your child because you have the authority and you're making the rules and you're setting how your house works. But what women are not understanding is that's what makes you a woman.
That's right.
I'm not saying that you can't be a woman without having children, but the responsibility for another human being's life is what takes you into deeper levels of
It
womanhood.
helps you to become a woman.
And you have to take care of them yourself.
And let's say this. I mean, again, hundreds of coaching marriages, and most of them not wanting children because of fear. And when they do, like we were with a couple last night with their new baby, who's
Yeah.
amazing,
Oh my
their 1-year-old
gosh.
birthday. They love this baby has become their world.
She's
and
become the
it's
center of all of our worlds.
all of our worlds, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And because it's different, and then wait till you have grandbabies. My gosh. I didn't believe old people would tell me that. I go, whatever. Oh my gosh, grandbabies are a whole other level. And so we can talk about that in a few years.
Okay. Men like to help women. And sometimes women don't want to be helped by men. And this is a very interesting thing because you'll hear all the time, women will say, I sat down with my husband, I had a horrible day, and he went right in and tried to fix it, and all I wanted him to do was listen.
Yeah.
I get that. Because what women think is that you didn't hear what I said, you're just telling me, you're minimizing what I'm going through, I really just want you to listen. However, at the same time, it's a good thing to let your man help you. And so I've learned in this 20-year relationship to ask specifically, I need your help with something. So a lot of times in the morning after you read your scripture, I read my scripture, you have your coffee, I have my tea, and I'm waiting for you to be done. And then I say, I have to tell you about a dream.
Yes.
I want to know what you think
It's actually happening every morning right now.
I dream a lot.
Yeah.
But I start my conversation with, I want your input.
Yes.
And I think that's helped you a lot.
It's huge.
And then I've also at times said, I don't need you to say anything. I don't need you to fix this. But I just had a conversation with one of our kids.
Yes.
And I am emotionally exhausted.
That's really important.
Yeah. And so, but I do need your help.
Yes.
There are things I cannot do by myself. And
Yeah.
I need that help from you. But does it help a man a great deal when a woman articulates, I need you just to listen and not say a word and hold me and give me a kiss on the head? Or I need solution. I need a creative.
It's an absolute 100% must.
It's kind of a game changer, isn't it?
It's a game changer. Men are dumb. We're simple creatures. I'm just honest. And when Lisa would, and then I would just try to fix it, we'd get in a fight, and I would be like, "What?
What did I do?
Right? What in the heck?" Right? And when finally we figured out, and I said to her, I said, "Look, you got to tell me when I just need to listen." And you got to tell me when you want me to input and give you help.
Yeah.
And so now every single time it's like, I don't need you to fix this. I just need you to listen. And I shut my mouth and I don't say a word.
You've gotten so good at it. And I can see sometimes you're twitching like, I have something to say.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
And
but
then,
I deeply respect your insight. But
yes.
there are times that women just really need
Most
to
times, actually. But people in general will fix themselves if you'll just shut up and listen.
That's good.
They already know the answers.
Right.
And we've learned this in all of our coaching and all of our counseling is that I mostly just listen now, and I'll give one or two little droplets from heaven and everything changes, but they already know the answer. They just need to get it out.
They just need someone to kind of
And honestly,
confirm.
your generation, the millennial, and that you guys are verbal processors, and I've learned that that's beautiful. It was hard for me to learn that, but I actually love listening to it now. And it's true with women, your wife. You don't need to fix things most of the time. But as a man, we have a different set of eyes. When we come together, we have now a new set of eyes.
Much better.
And we can actually give one another some wisdom if we'll listen well enough.
And the people that we know that don't have that, like people that we know in long marriages that don't help each other that way, like that don't, have those conversations and have that, back and forth, they're missing something.
They are.
Like we both have friends that were like, they would be so great if they would allow their spouse to speak into their life.
Yes.
But there's no relationship there because they haven't fostered that.
Well,
and they're just one person trying to be married.
Yesterday, we did a bunch of one-on-ones in a restaurant here in Gainesville, and Amy, one of our favorite people on the planet, I always say if I had 10 Amy's, we'd change the world. She literally said, we're both sitting in the booth with her as I'm waiting for another appointment, and she said, you two together are more fun than you two apart. Like, that's so rare for me for this. She's saying this. Like, I don't ever get around married couples where I just want them both. And that was really a compliment to us because it was like we do have fun and we do listen well to the person we're with and we're in the now.
Yeah.
And you got to learn how to do that as a couple, right? And then you got to separate. But yeah, absolutely so necessary to just listen really well. Don't think about what you're going to say next, ever, especially with your wives, men. Don't ever be thinking about, oh, I can say this, and stop.
It could be great what you have to say,
right?
But just
listen.
Just sit on it for a
minute. And then if she says to me, what do you think? Then you can go slow and go easy and don't try to be the brilliant hero to fix everything.
Okay, so do you need to feel appreciated?
Of course. It's my love language.
I know.
Yeah.
How can I tell you that I appreciate you?
You do. You will tell me, wow, and I'll walk by and you go, whoa. Nice ass, right? Or, hey, baby, man, I can tell you've been working hard. Thank you. Like, you just do that. You just, simple things.
And when you get off the stage, which is those of us that put ourselves out there, It's a very vulnerable time.
It's very vulnerable.
And
We get mostly criticism by putting ourselves out there. We'll get criticism on this podcast because I started with the cuss word. Forgive me. I'll get some feedback on that.
I forgive you.
Which is fine.
But it is important, I think, especially for men, to know this one person's in my corner.
Yes.
And so the atmosphere of a home that a woman creates really says either you're welcome in here, we want you in here, and we need you in here, or you're a disruption to our life. And I think a man can feel that when he comes in. And I was not good at that. And then I heard some quotes from Maya Angelou and some other people, and I was like, I need to clean this up. And I started celebrating the human beings that came through the door.
Wow, that's really true.
Instead of dumping on them what I was going through or what needed to happen or whatever, I started celebrating. Hi, baby.
Right.
You're home. How are you?
You can do that with the dog now.
You know,
It makes him so happy.
Who couldn't do that with the dog? He's precious. Okay, and so what is the number one most attractive thing? If you got all your buddies, you've got buddies from their 80s to you have friends that are in their 20s.
Yep.
If you asked all of them, which of course I already know what the answer is because I read all the surveys, if you asked them what is the single most attractive thing in any woman, what would they say?
What would they say? Now you got me all nervous because you know the answer.
Confidence.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I've already said that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a confident, independent woman who doesn't need a man, that's attractive.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when you need me, that's attractive.
Yeah.
Because I know you're both and.
Yeah.
Right? It's always both and. And so when they're independent and confident, and then when they go, baby, I really need you in this. Can you just come hold me? Can you come give me a little bit of advice? That makes a man come alive.
I actually really need you right now.
I know, baby. You're going to have me. We're
Okay.
going to finish this podcast
Okay.
and we're going to, yes.
Okay, one last thing is leadership. Because we work for a leadership academy. We are surrounded by strong leaders, mostly females.
Yeah.
And the question that they ask me is, how do I continue to be a strong leader and also follow? And I have been complimented in this area recently, which I wasn't sure what was going to come out of this young woman's mouth, but she said, I don't understand you at all. I've never met a woman like you. I don't get you. I thought, oh God, this is going to be a rough session. And she said, you sit, you're quiet, you listen, you're observing. And she said, and then you get up and you say something and you have authority, and then you go sit back down and you listen and I said, yes, because we are leaders and followers always.
Yes.
And so I can lead this.
Yeah.
And I can follow this.
Right.
And it is not, it's not a competition. We're both leaders and we're both followers.
Right.
And so there's a lot of times where I'm like, I need you to lead this. And a lot of times you'll say, lead this.
Yeah.
But do you need me to let you lead things?
Yes, I need to lead. I need to know that you're going to follow, but I know when I'm out of order and you let me know that. And then I know I need you to lead and I need to follow, and it's always both and.
Okay.
And we've got to be strong in that. And
Okay.
we've got to be confident in one another that we have the best for one another. And so we're never doing it to make the other feel bad. We're doing it to empower one another.
So for our single, beautiful women out there, what would you say to them about, they struggle so hard with this issue. They're saying, I have dreams. If I get married, does that mean my dreams die?
No.
Do I have to follow a man and only do what he wants and not do? And I think, why would you even be dating someone that you don't have anything in common with?
Right.
But what would you say to a woman? Like, what does a man need in that? Like, is it a conversation about, hey, I'm going to lead us here because I feel like I got the word of the Lord on it. What do you think? Or I'm going to lead, or is it always just this conversion of, I mean, we basically talk about all those things.
Right.
Like,
and you have to. You just got to be openly communicating about it, and then you've got to be humble in it.
Yeah.
You've got to humble yourself and say, I really need some help, and I need you to lead in this area.
Yes.
I need you to help me you help me with that all the time. And then you come to me and say, man, I can't do this. This is where you're an expert.
I'm like, this, you're awesome at this. I'm not this
Go
great
do
at
it.
this. Why
Right.
am I doing this?
Right.
You should be doing this.
Exactly.
Let me back you up in it. But I have to say, women, when you have a man that is confident and will cover you, it is so beautiful.
It is.
Because I used to have to think about everything and take care of everything. And I was the provider, the protector of everything. And when you came along and you took those things off my plate, I mean,
You can breathe.
I've turned into a complete airhead. Like I'm like, I don't.
Well,
Does the oil need to be changed? I don't know. Do we need to put gas in this car? I don't know. My husband always does it for me. It's like I can absolutely put gas in a car, but I don't look at the
You don't need
gauge the
to.
way I used to
Right.
because you're always taking care of it
because
for me.
I'm going to study that rhythm. I'm going to study that pace. And I know you don't like those things, and I'm going to cover you in that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with me. You're going to cover me in the things you
Yes.
know I can't do and not well. But again, I need to learn how to do some, like the dishes. Did the dishes today.
You did
it
a
made
great
you feel
job.
amazing.
You did a
I
great
need to
job.
learn how to do those things and do more. We got to get to the next session. We got to end this one.
All right.
Force the seasons of life next.
Seasons of life, seasons of relationships.
Seasons of marriages. Guys, GaryandLisaBlack.com. Go there. Ask us any questions. Join our Patreon. Join our All Things Marriage on Facebook. And let's keep going after healthy marriage in Jesus' name. Thanks, everybody. God bless you, man. We will talk soon.